Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. All right. So just like last week, I'm going to invite you, if you haven't yet, to pick up the books that are out front because, again, notes for today's talk were taken right from that book, and we'll be using that all the way through September and World Day of Prayer, which is September 11th at 7 p.m. here. So come and pray. The quote from that book today is taken from Reverend Tori Stevens Coleman. And it's about healing and honoring our memories to fully be present. Reverend Coleman says, "Remember, memories are echoes of what was or what happened. They represent our perspectives, not the ultimate truth or what is right. The best way to honor a memory is to find value in it and make it useful for yourself and others. Honoring memories is to find the divine light in them, dissipating darkness and sadness and showing the way for yourself and others." And I think Carol already explained my whole talk while she was up here, which is actually kind of fabulous. But in contemplating that, we often think of having to heal the, quote, bad memories. You know, all the stuff that you have to trudge through, or the pain, or the suffering, or the somebody did this to me, or said that to me, and I remember that, or this car accident happened, or, you know, this person's going through whatever, you know, all of that. And yet, I think we need to heal and move out of our good memories too. Because a lot of times we want to hold on to that in such a nostalgic way that we don't allow ourselves to move on either. That part of our life was so good and we were so happy, we just need to stay there and forget everything else. So it goes both ways. It goes both ways. Remembering memories are echoes. And again, it's funny because having the children, my boys will remember things different than what I did. You know, I'll be like, that was such a great day. We had so much fun. And my son will go, I was sunburnt for 2 weeks. I had to sleep in the bathtub after that day because I hurt so bad. And I went, oh yeah, you did, didn't you? But wasn't it a fun day? You know, so we all have our little takes on everything. That's a true story, by the way. We went out and was my oldest, and I was reminded just the last couple weeks how he had to sleep in the bathroom after our fun day because he was so red and sunburned. And even projecting what our memories or what will happen from this present moment, you know, to heal that as well and to let it flow. Like last week we talked about letting things flow. Let it be the flow. This past week, my youngest is switching schools, so he's going to the big middle school as a big fifth grader, you know, which is a huge step for him. And the anxiety for him has just been overwhelming in order to wrap his little brain around that this is okay. It's going to be another cool experience for you. Let's not bug it out before it happens. Then in talking to him, I realized there was much more than just school going through his little system in the changes. So his oldest brother moved farther away from home, so he didn't get to play with him as much this summer, which is a big deal because I didn't think about it because they look forward to that every summer, those times. And we got one time this summer that happened, which was a great time, but in his little head, we needed more. And his other big brother is in the process of moving and finding another job, and he'll be moving a good 2 hours away from home. So between the big brothers going and a jump to school, his little system was going crazy. And how do we do it? We go crazy when things happen too. It seems like everything happens at once sometimes. And I tell you, last week I went over those 4 points with you on what Psychology Today says that we can do in order to bring ourselves back into the present. I'm just going to go over those one more time. One was to breathe. Two is to be a witness, and actually be a witness of our breath and how we feel in that present moment. And three was to let it go, just let it go. I can tell you that on last Monday, when he was having one of his, oh my goodness moments, none of those worked. None of those worked. We went through the whole list. And even his brother that's a year older than him was also not having it, you know. So when it doesn't work, change your scenery. I know this might sound crazy, but I picked them up, I threw them in the car, and we went to the pool. I'm like, we're just not having this right now. Let's just change the scenery, get some activity into you, and then we'll readdress it when we can, you know. And we just let it flow. And I know that might sound like you're just copping out maybe, but it was the best thing to redirect. And then when it came up later, then we could, you know, breathe a little better and talk our ways through it. So afford yourselves that. I mean, how many times do we put ourselves, or we think we have to just stick it out for this or that or the other reason, or we're listening to everybody else around us and we think we have to just fix it right then. And you know what? We don't. Sometimes being in the moment is knowing we don't have to be in that moment. We can switch the moment. We can choose to have another present moment all the time. And our possibilities are endless based on our choices. There are a lot of people that come and sit in our little meditation room and really want to know what's going to happen next. Can I please just know what's happening next? I need to know so I can be okay. And that's why they come. They want to know what is next. And yet part of the discussion then becomes, well, we can talk about exactly what's happening now and how you feel and the energy now and the healing that's taking place now. And yet as soon as you leave these walls, somebody out there will make another choice in your situation. You are allowed to make another choice in your situation. And all those possibilities can be different than what they are in this very second. We can't project. We just can't. And I think it'd be boring if we could. You know, that great gift of free will in this very present moment is astounding, because you really do. And even if everything is going the way you don't want it to, you still have a choice to choose what you're going to do right then. Now, you might not always get to like pick up in the car and go to the pool, but you can do something. You could do even if it's go to sleep for a little while and try again when you wake up. It's all possible. And to know that none of it is wasted. So another thing I've heard from my youngest since their summer vacation is fairly quickly coming to a close here, is, did we waste our summer? Has it been wasted? So we made a list of all the memories from summer. You know, I was like, because, you know, they do play video games a fair amount, and we do watch a fair amount of movies, and they're like, does that mean we wasted it? And I said, I don't think so, because in the grand scheme of things, I think you watched less TV than what I did when I was your age during the summer. You know, we just let that part go. So we did. We made this huge list of all the things that we experienced together, or what they did with their brothers during the summer. And I said, even if you didn't do these things, you can't waste time. All of it's an experience. So whatever is happening in your present is okay. You know, you're allowed to choose the movie, or to sleep, or to not pick up the phone, or to take the bubble bath that takes an hour and a half and nobody knows where you're at. You know, all of those things that for whatever reason our culture says we're wasting time with, that is not wasted at all. I have a friend named Navin who, like Joe, has been able to go to India. And he's gone several times now, different parts, and hiked. And one of the things he shared was these people have way less what you would think of as choices than, now he lives in New Jersey, so imagine like lots and lots and lots of choices. And then you go to some of the parts of India he was at, and it's vast areas. In fact, he sent back pictures of walking across big cats. I don't know what kind it was exactly, some kind of tiger cat. It was just, I mean, that's how rural he was. And he said that some of those people he met were some of the happiest people he'd ever met, ever. And they don't have the TVs or the places to go or the playhouse or the movies or the tea time or anything you can think of that you all like to do, whatever your favorite groupie thing is. It wasn't available. And yet, just being, and he said one lady was like grinding grain for bread or something, and he had the best conversation. He said they were happiest people without what we would think of as enough choices. So, do we need all of that to be happy? Maybe it is just recognizing you can let it flow and just be. Now, I'm sure they have their hardships and all that stuff as well. It's just his observation at the time that, wow, there's this possibility to choose and be happy when you live in a place with a dirt floor and tigers as your neighbors. And how amazing is that? And that none of that time is wasted. None of that time is wasted. There's another story I read of Greg Braden. He's an author, and you can find him pretty easily. But it was a story he talked about going into some of the mountains of Tibet, and people were just kind of outside. Now, it's cold up in these mountains. I don't know that I could handle living there all the time. And yet all these people were there, and he's walking around with them, and he has a translator so that he can talk back and forth. And these people, they would just walk, they would do their thing, they'd talking to him, and what struck him a lot was they didn't mark their birthdays the way we do. It wasn't how old you are, it's how many years you've been present. And some of them didn't really even know that. And then some of the people he met were like 100 plus years old walking up and down the mountain. Because they didn't bug themselves out with what time was. At least that was his take on it. There was this is my time to experience, my time to explore. It's not I get a certain age and can't or do or whatever. And I thought that was a neat perspective as well on being present. To not look so much at the clock or the calendar, and it's just whatever it is now. And we made a joke at the beginning of service, because this clock doesn't work, and we were counting down. And can you imagine a place that just works on wherever the sun is and whenever people gather, and the moon cycles and that broad, and not so much did we get there right on time. We got a little postcard in the mail from my son to get on the bus this year. It says, be at the bus stop at 7:13. I'm like, well, we are being really specific, And that's where we're at. Or things we feel like things will fall apart. And I'm not saying we have to throw away our clocks, because there is a use for that, especially in this culture. But to not hold ourselves so much to that, especially in the off time, the not work time, the time that, if that makes any sense, to just let yourself be present and to heal and allow that to heal what came before. I think the more we are very aware of what's happening now, the less what happens before will bug us. Because we're not dwelling there. And there's this recognition, just like Carol said, that it's all a tiny little piece of the entire puzzle that we don't know what it looks like when it's done. You know, we get to build it little by little. And that's the cool thing, that you have the opportunity to build it little by little. In today's daily word, it says, my divine nature is unlimited. Unlimited. So we're not stuck in the past or even what we think might happen in the present. It's really an unlimited now. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Take yourself to the pool. Thank you.